Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, he's an expert in metal fabricating, and now he's using that same technology to revolutionize the industry of home building. His incredible story just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I love entrepreneurs, and I love people who revolutionize companies and industries, and that describes my next guest. Lance Thrailkill is in the studio. He is the CEO of All Metals Fabricating, and he's the co-founder of Printed Technologies. Thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's give a little background. Third generation, and I'm just impressed because I have a family company. Third generation. 72 years ago, your grandfather started this?
Well, so yeah, 72 years ago, the business started. My grandfather actually bought the business in 1978. So it's been in my family for 47 years.
Wow.
And been in business for 72 years.
What kind of pressure is on you?
Oh, man. None other than what I put on myself, I guess.
Yeah.
The third generation's always the one that screws it up, right? So, or sells it, one of the two. So hopefully, I don't screw it up.
But and you have brought kind of a young, fresh pair of eyes to your industry. Talk about some of the things that we're going to actually pull up the website, and as we scroll down the website, so people can appreciate how big your company is. Tell us about All Metals Fabricating.
Yeah, so we are a contract manufacturer, sheet metal, specialized in sheet metal fabricating, machining, powder coating, electromechanical assembly. So basically what that means is we can take a sheet of metal and cut it and bend it and weld it, put hardware in it and make it into just about anything. As well as on the machining side, we can take a block of metal and mill it into just about anything. And so we serve virtually every industry, biggest industry being alternative energy actually now, and data centers. So for alternative energy, we build, every wind turbine has a little house next to it. That house is actually bigger than it looks because that turbine's way bigger than it looks.
Wow.
But we make those houses. They store the electromechanics of the turbine. We're making a lot of the data centers equipment, so all the racks, shelving, bracketry, power distribution units for data centers, and then telecom, which is what the company was really built on in the 80s and 90s, is still a good portion of our business as well. So when you see a radio shroud on the side of a cell tower or hanging on street lights and types of things, we make the bracketry and the shroud container that holds the radios that gives you cell phone signal. We also do a lot in medical space. We're doing a real cool project where we're making these rotary hospital beds for drowning victims or people with pneumonia. It flips them facing down while they're in the hospital, which improves their survivability rate by 60%.
No kidding.
Pretty cool. So when you're saving lives, it's making stuff that saves lives. So we try to tell our people about the products they're making. And so it makes it kind of them identify with it more.
How many employees do you have?
So we're right around 70 right now.
Mm-hmm.
We were up to 75 last year, and then things have slowed down. We've had a little bit of turnover, which we've been been good with timing. Just as it's slowed down, I think the market will pick back up. Certainly the tariffs seem to be impacting a little bit. I don't know if it's that or it's just the time of year that people, buy stuff. So.
And you came to us a couple of months ago and said, "Hey Jeff, I want to get on the news," and it worked. With the Trump threatened tariffs, you have been all over the news. How many interviews do you think you've done?
I think 10 or 12. I've kind of lost count. Between radio and news, it's definitely been about 5 or 6, and then the radio another 5 or 6. So it's been wild.
One of my favorite reporters is Sean Rabb, because I worked with him for 16 years at Fox 4, and so I was surprised to see that Sean Rabb showed up at your place of work. Let's go ahead and roll that piece.
Those new tariffs are scheduled to take effect tonight at midnight, or were, and Fox 4's Sean Rabb is here with more about the local businesses that are already feeling the impact. Sean.
Yeah, visited today, Steve, with a company called All Metals Fabricating, and as the name implies, they use all metals. They produce all kinds of devices for many different companies, and really, they've had a 30 to 40% increase in the metals they're paying for to use in their business since Super Bowl Sunday, when the president first tweeted that tariffs were coming.
We're a repeat production facility, so we're making 300 to 500 different jobs a month of various parts for all different industries.
Doubling the tariff to 50% on Canadian steel and aluminum, set to go into effect at midnight, is painful for All Metals Fabricating CEO Lance Thrailkill.
We buy through U.S. distributors, and U.S. distributors source metal from all over the world, so they buy it from different mills all over the world. And a lot of it, yes sir, does come from Canada.
Thrailkill, with 75 skilled workers interacting with robotics, wants to emphasize that as tariffs trickle down, costs go up.
The mills are like, that's fine, we're not gonna reduce our profit margin, so 25% plus our margin on top of it, so it's going up, goes to the distributors. Distributors do the same thing, then it comes to the manufacturers, and so now it's gone up much more than the tariffs.
President Donald Trump says not only will tariffs against America's big three trade partners, Mexico, Canada, and China, help stop the flow of fentanyl, but will bring manufacturing back to America.
The problem with the narrative as it specifically relates to manufacturing is there's not enough mills in the United States to support U.S., even Texas manufacturing. All of the mills in the country can't support even Texas. And so it would take, decade plus, if not, more, and billions of dollars to be able to create mills here for jobs that I don't really know how much people really want.
While the tariffs hurt, Thrailkill says we have to take the good with the bad and hope Trump's tariff play is the right gambit.
In the previous term of his administration, we had some of our best years ever. The tariffs were painful for us, but even just the hype around U.S. manufacturing and taking pride again in American-made products, that really does resonate with people.
So let's talk about how we got here today. Early today, Canada announcing a 25% tariff or tax on electricity that it sells to a handful of northern states. The president responded with an additional 25% tax, or the 50% tax on aluminum and steel. Canada's called theirs down yet. The president hasn't called his back yet, but outside the White House, talking with a gaggle of reporters, said he probably would. We'll have to wait and see what happens before midnight.
Wow, and you were telling me that piece re-aired on Fox stations all over the place.
Oh yeah, it's getting texts from Austin and San Angelo, East Texas. It was all over Texas. It was pretty incredible.
Well, give us an update. As we speak, this is the 20th of March. What are you experiencing?
It's still been more the same. That the initial tweet that he made really set kind of the tone. Once the markets the markets had priced in the tariffs before they even went into effect, and it's stayed pretty level since then. The big concern is if he's really going to tax Canada 50%, that'll make the price jump up. We're hearing from our vendors they do still expect 2 more price hikes in the next month or two. So we just emailed out customers just today, actually, just like, hey, get your orders in now before the next price hike, and just assured them we're working with our vendors to try and, get the bottom end of the increases. And so just doing everything we can, buying up material at the strategic times. And, but really, yeah, it's even though the news is changing every day of like, right. It's, full-time job just keeping up with where it's at today, in terms of the negotiations, specifically a lot with Canada as well and Mexico. Sure. Yeah, we're expecting more of the same with a couple more price hikes.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you have a steady hand on the wheel because uncertainty is nobody's friend.
I think that's the hardest part too.
Right.
It's the uncertainty. When we're a repeat production facility and they're used to having a price that they can send a PO and order. Right. And we're telling them, part of the email we sent out yesterday was like, hey, your quotes are only good for like 3 days. And the quotes we're getting from vendors are saying the quotes are good for 1 day.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. So, I mean, that for, some of these big companies to generate a PO takes 2 days and just in general, and so it's like, hey, you better get your order in quick or we can't confirm this pricing. That's the hardest part, uncertainty.
Well, I think you're the absolutely perfect person to lead your company at this time. And you've brought some technological advances to the company. You guys created a nice video a couple of years ago. Let's run a clip from that.
In our daily lives, most people don't realize how sheet metal and machine parts surround us. Yet, these vital manufacturing processes make up a massive industry and help shape the world we live in.
Sheet metal back in the day was much more driven by the skill set of the employees. A lot of equipment was old, everyone seemed to have old equipment, but now with the automation, it opened up capacities and just made our jobs actually easier, and quality actually got better. And the precision too was so much better than it ever had been before.
So sheet metal fabricating is all around us. Virtually every industry has a need for sheet metal fabricating and machine parts. You can look at telecom industry, there's cell phone towers and water towers, there is surgical tables, aerospace, airplanes have a lot of sheet metal machine parts on them. Virtually every industry has parts that need to either be fabricated or machined.
Industry 4.0 is the implementation of automation into the existing manufacturing processes. So you get your machines talking to each other. You can set up autonomous material handling equipment to move devices or parts from point A to point B within your shop. It eliminates the people, not in a mode where you're eliminating people because you're eliminating jobs, but we have a skilled labor shortage in America. So if we can put some of this automation into our processes and our systems, we can get people that really like to work with the technology engaged, and it helps us both.
The people, processes, and equipment required to make these sheet metal products is substantial and always upgrading. This comes in the form of automation, an opportunity for humans, not a replacement for humans.
We are rapidly implementing Industry 4.0 as much as we can with things such like machine monitoring software on all of our equipment that provides data analytics and dashboards, all of which is integrated into our ERP system, automating every process that we can, both in the manufacturing floor and in the front office.
That is fascinating. And I know you grew up around it. Do you sometimes sit back and say, wow, I play such an important role, or my team plays such an important role in so many facets of our economy?
I think that's one challenge of every business owner. As you know, it's we're naturally focused on the gap. That's a gap versus gain mentality, and so we're always wanting to get it to the ideal state because we're always solving problems. And so, oftentimes, we're focused on not what we've accomplished, but what we need to. And to your point, we all need to take more time reflecting on how far we've come.
Yes.
So any improvements we make definitely all goes to the team. I'm just, the voice and the face, so to speak, but they're the ones carrying out the plans. So.
And you've got 3 little ones at home. Are you hoping that there might be a future owner?
We'll see, yeah. Fortunately, my parents put no pressure on me, but the way that my dad was so servant-hearted and selfless,
yes.
And as well as my grandfather, made me want to go help them because my whole lives they'd put me first and mine. So hopefully I do the same, and my daughters or son want to come join the business, and if not, that's great too. We can have a good exit or something.
All right, we teased off the top of the show that you are taking the same technology and moving into home construction. Let's pull up the website for Printed Technologies. This blows me away. So we're looking at homes that you're printing. Explain this.
Yeah, so to your point, I just became fascinated with this automation in construction. I've built several homes on the side of myself with a builder, and the inefficiencies in the construction industry were just horrible to me. It was shocking. And when you contrast that, especially with manufacturing that's focused on precision and efficiency is the name of the game. And so a business partner of ours bought a 3D home printing machine, printed the 7th and 8th house in America. And as I started studying the technology and the opportunity there, especially as it relates to house affordability and the opportunities to get more efficient, bring a manufacturing mindset to home construction where you're focused on efficiency and using automation and AI and 3D printing. And so with Mall Metals Fabricating, it was really a dream partnership in that my business partner, Craig, in Printed, had the real estate background. He's managed a real estate portfolio for 30 years, which my family's been invested in. And then we have the manufacturing expertise.
Sure.
So we redesigned the machine at All Metals Fabricating and manufactured 2 of our new generation machines, our 2nd generation machines for printed technologies. We've got patents on those. And we're trying to take this automation and 3D printing with a manufacturing mindset and bring that to help solve the affordability crisis.
Sure.
And it's not just an affordability crisis, it's also a housing shortage,
Yes.
which drives up affordability. So it's kind of a, dual problem there.
Well, you were telling me before the show that a home like this could sell for $100,000 versus I think the median home price in America is like $300,000, $400,000 or something like that.
Yes. Well, to be fair, to be clear, we built that one for $100,000. So that didn't include the dirt. That one is it's targeted at affordable housing. So it's actually in a mobile home park.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at the quality of that
Right.
contrasted with their other options in that area. But yeah, I mean, I think with markup and the land in it, it still would have sold for under $200,000 probably.
Which is amazing.
It's amazing, yeah. So it's an efficiency unit. That one is 840 square feet, 1 bedroom, 1 bath with the open floor plan for the living and kitchen.
So I'm going to ask a dumb question because I'm not a construction guy. Is it like ready to move in, or the electrician has to get in there and hook everything up, or how does that work?
So that one we built complete. So at Printed, we're kind of a dual stream business in that we can print and build homes. So we can either operate as a general contractor to a builder where we just print the wall system, or we can actually do the full build for you, whether it be custom or a spec home or a rental.
Yeah.
This is great for rentals because they're much more efficient. You can't damage them. And then on the other side, we have the machine manufacturing business. So once this technology becomes embraced by builders, which starts with the municipalities knowing how to inspect the plans and inspect the prints. Once that gets embraced, we figure that's going to grow so fast that we won't be able to keep up with all the printing opportunities. So at that point, we're going to pivot the business and we're still going to do the printing, but focus on machine sales.
Wow.
And so on the printing side, we're going to be focused on affordable housing. And on the machine sales, you can take this technology. They're printing Army barracks right now. They just got done. They're printing, mid-level priced homes as well. Some new developments are people have figured out how to print 2 stories, so you can even go into higher end construction as well, which is Icon is doing down in Austin at the new development they just announced.
Well, you're a true visionary. I mean, I hate to make this analogy, but I just, as I'm talking to you right now, I said, this is a kind of the vision of like a Elon Musk would look at a industry like home building and say, this is inefficient. Why don't you do it this way? So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And you mentioned that municipalities right now have trouble with this because they don't know how to inspect it. Explain that.
Yeah, so it's, whenever you go to build a home, you have to have your construction drawings inspected, stamped by an engineer. So similarly, we have engineers that will stamp our plans as well, which allows us to build in rural areas and counties that aren't, in the city jurisdiction. So pioneers get arrows in their back, right? So no city is going to want to be like, a few have actually, thankfully, for cities like Austin and now Houston, they have embraced it. But they don't want to be the ones to put the liability of this new construction, especially with concrete walls.
Right.
So it's going to take, we believe, a third party body. There's an ICC committee that is now working on this. And I think once a third party says, here's the requirements,
right,
this is what meets the standards. If it's this, then now the cities can just say, okay, here, we'll embrace this. And that's what really is the biggest hurdle for the industry as a whole right now. Until that gets embraced, we're limited to rural areas. And so that's something we're really excited to see transpire.
Wow. Okay. Where do you see this all headed? I mean, in 10 years, could you see the home building industry wildly adopting this?
I believe it will. I'm certainly betting a lot on it. I think you look at the skilled labor shortage. So when building a home, we've been building homes for the same way for 100 years, over 100 years.
Right.
Wood framing, labor-intensive construction. I mean, that's wild. What other industry has technology not changed in over 100 years? That's just mind-blowing, right? So, with the skilled labor shortage, so we're building 1.4 million new homes a year in America. Right now, there's 7.3 million just affordable homes needed. Wow. So we're only building 1.4 total. 10% of that is actually focused on the affordable housing sector. So, I mean, 140,000 units. So the number's growing year over year. With supply and demand, it's going to continue to rise in price because there's not enough supply. All that to say, between the skilled labor shortage, being able to use automation, we could be building 10, 20, 30 different houses all at once with a 2-man crew on each one.
Wow.
Printing the wall systems. The wall systems we can print in a week and a half to 2 weeks, and we're making some developments to even speed that up. So with that, you're removing framing, sheetrock, and with sheetrock comes tape bed and texture. You're removing masonry, so the brick on the outside. And you can also not insulate the walls if you didn't want to, because concrete has better thermal properties. And then lastly, paint. You don't have to paint. Most people are painting the brick on their houses now. My house is painted. I don't know about yours, but so you're removing paint because you don't have to paint the inside walls with the sheetrock, which that alone on my house that I just built took 3 months.
Wow.
And so really the cost savings is great. And we're about 20, depending on the builder, about 20 to 30% more cost effective. But the time savings, time is money. And then being able to scale that up across, a bunch of different, houses being built at once, I think is where you could really start to make a dent in that.
Yeah.
But some things have to change too. So I think people right now, we have a beaded style print, and you can spray on concrete and do a facade, like a stucco finish, but that's more labor and that's a manual process. So we're trying to get away from that. But one thing we're working on right now is doing a 4-inch brick style. And that would allow you to appeal to the traditional architectural models,
right?
Which I think will be key because currently the design really appeals more to somebody in a modern or contemporary, which is a smaller percentage of people.
Right.
But I think once we can tackle that brick style, it'll speed up print time, it'll cut it in half, and then appeal to the traditional architecture palettes.
Wow. Lance, I'm so impressed with you. I could really listen to you all day long. We've got about a minute left, so why don't you look into that camera in the left and give us some final thoughts.
Yeah, just exciting times with printed technologies, and we have a real crisis here in America. If it was this expensive and inefficient for me building a house, how much more impactful is that to somebody that's barely struggling to afford a house in the first place? They can't afford people's mistakes and the rework that happens on every construction site. So we're looking to really automate construction to help tackle the biggest problem America's facing. It's really health and affordable housing are the 2 biggest problems. And so we're passionate about it. We want to help people, and we're excited about it.
Outstanding. You did an amazing job, Lance. Congratulations on your success. We're going to end with both websites. The first one is AMmetals, ammetals.com. And then your fabrication company, is printedtechnologies.com, and that's a 3. Yeah.
It's a play on words. So Print 3D Technologies, but it's pronounced printed.
Printed. Love it. Congratulations, Lance. I appreciate you so much. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.